This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you by Bitrefill. Bitrefill is the best way to spend your crypto in Latin America. Purchase gift cards or mobile refills from more than 3,500 brands in 186 countries instantly, safely, and privately. Visit bitrefill.com for more information. Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. My guests today are Nicki and James in El Salvador. I first found out about these guys on Twitter, and when I saw the tagline, one-way tickets to live in El Salvador, I knew I had to get them on the podcast and hear their story. So, Nicki and James, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Welcome.
Just to stack on to that, we'd never been to a Latin American country before, and we'd never been to a developed nation before. So those one-way tickets were pretty steep learning curves.
Yes.
Nice. So coming from the UK?
No, New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still working on my English accents, I guess. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's quite a journey.
Yeah.
It was, especially during that time. I mean, in the middle of the COVID, very difficult to get flights flying because of our personal health choices. And so, yeah, we were like traveling for 4 days and in the air for 40 hours. So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, we went the long way around the world.
Yeah.
It was good times.
And your profile is very dressed up with Bitcoin. You got the like Bitcoin banner, Bitcoin emojis.
Yeah.
So that was obviously a big piece of it. And you guys are, I guess, very much a part of the Bitcoin community there in El Salvador, Bitcoin Beach, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So we've been here pretty much 21 months now,
22.
which is 22. Oh, damn it. I really wanted that 21 number. We've been here almost 2 years. We've started the residency process. We took us a little bit to get settled in and find our feet with the community. And I would say in the last 2 months in particular, we have really found our place.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. We spent, coming into El Salvador, we spent the first 18, nearly 20 months, I suppose, down at the beach, as a lot of people do. They come, they spend the time at the beach. It did, after just over a year, we realised that actually it's quite hot and draining down there. And we're using so much energy to try and keep ourselves cool.
yeah.
It took us a while to realise that it wasn't quite right for us.
Yep.
And then we met these amazing Salvadorian couple who sparked our interest in Berlin, in Uslatan.
Yep.
And we decided to go and see what they were up to in Berlin. And yeah.
So Berlin is about 3 hours away from the Bitcoin Beach community, and it's on top of a volcano with the largest geothermal mining plant here in the country, which is pretty cool. And it's a lot cooler, which is what really was one of the key selling points for us to escape the heat.
Yeah.
Okay, so you traded the beach for the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just cool because, El Salvador has several climates. And I think it's important for people to realize that if you don't like one, there might be another one that's better suited for you.
Yeah. You have that variety, which is pretty cool.
And it's quite incredible. Like an hour's drive, we can be down in sort of on the coastline, and the temperatures easily 10 degrees hotter than up in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Nice. So are you guys coffee drinkers now? Is it like a coffee region?
We've always been coffee drinkers. We actually bought our own stovetop coffee machine and cups to El Salvador. It took us a long time to start using it, but we're finally using it now.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So one of the first things that we did when we got here was Nicki bought a tour for my birthday on a coffee farm, which was just 2 months after we arrived, and we discovered that pretty much all of the high grade coffee was exported out of El Salvador. Sorry, and it was quite hard. The coffee culture here wasn't as good as it is in the rest of the world. So I think what's rapidly happening though is the coffee culture is developing here, and they export. They now keep a percentage of their export grade specifically for the local community. So yes, that has that has been a journey here in El Salvador.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at where Berlin is, or Berlin, and it's more kind of towards the south of the country, very close to San Miguel.
Yes.
See.
Yeah. Yeah. You start to go east, and they say that the east side of the country is a lot hotter, and it is slightly down a little bit. And San Miguel is, I think, the second largest city in El Salvador, and apparently it is meant to be the hottest city in El Salvador. So a lot of the people in the town Usulatan and San Miguel actually travel up the volcano to come to a town that's just 5 kilometers from where we are for the cooler temperature. So that town's actually got a local tourist economy, which is very quaint. Like they have a lot of more artisanal sort of things that you can buy in the stalls there. It's bustling in the afternoons. It's really full on.
And Berlin is very much like the second cousin, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
the poor cousin
Yeah,
down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bigger town, but it doesn't get the tourists.
It looks beautiful. I mean, I'm looking at it on Google Maps. You got, colonial buildings. You got the mist rolling in from the mountains. This is definitely my vibe, and it's a similar vibe to what I experienced in Mexico and what you can experience in lots of places
Yeah.
in Central America.
Yeah.
Yeah. We say yes, but we wouldn't know. El Salvador is it for us at the moment.
Yes.
New Zealand to El Salvador.
Yep.
Yep.
Which country is more first world? Debatable.
Yeah, debatable. New Zealand, definitely. When you look at we get water every day. Every house has water. Those sorts of things. We don't have the brownouts that you do with the electricity. In where we are in Berlin, there we only get water every second day, and so that's been an interesting learning curve for us.
Which we're literally experiencing right now, as the water that was meant to flow in yesterday didn't arrive, so our tank is looking very low after a couple of weeks of high usage. So we're waiting for that, but also things like electricity. So it's quite dirty, which means that it spikes and it also slumps. So we have UPSs to protect our electrical equipment, which not a lot of the locals really care about because they don't have computers that they worry about. But for us, we're trying to protect our investment for how we work. So it's really important. And just other things are quite interesting about how houses are built. I don't know if you want to go into details about it.
No.
I kind of do. We'll come back to it though. So speaking of how you work, so you have the Twitter X account, which is at like 7,000 something followers. You seem pretty connected with everyone in El Salvador there. You have the YouTube channel where you have 3,000 something subscribers, 200 videos. So definitely one of your biggest platforms as well. Where do you guys which platforms do you have the most fun with and spend the most time on?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I'll start with the Twitter one.
Yeah.
So Twitter, we set up the accounts in the beginning to basically let our family know we're still alive and everything was okay. So that was the main purpose behind it. And then I just decided with the Twitter account, it was a good idea to post something every day so somebody knew that we were okay and going okay. So I just started creating a video every day just to say, hey, this is what's happening. And that started to get quite good traction. I discovered that Salvadorans love their country, and if you say something about El Salvador, they will support you like there's no tomorrow. So that really helped us grow the Twitter account quite quickly, which was very interesting. And then the Twitter account has been a lot of fun because it's very short, fast format. We quickly realized that our objective here with the content was to talk about Lightning, a Bitcoin adoption or Lightning adoption in particular. And that was the main focus with the Twitter account in particular.
Yeah, and then with the YouTube, again, it was set up for family to see videos. We thought it might be the easiest platform to go, hey, this is what we're doing, what's happening. We ended up finding there were some really interesting people who were coming to El Salvador to check it out. So we started going, well, it'd be quite cool to interview these people. And then the other thing that we decided to do was a weekly live meeting, a live stream. So every Monday evening, we do a live stream on pretty much just saying what we did in the past week.
Yeah.
And
on YouTube or on
on
Spaces?
YouTube, yeah,
On
on
YouTube.
YouTube. So we do a live every Monday afternoon, and it's just telling people what we've been up to in the last week, mainly regarding Bitcoin, but then there's other social events. And then we've recently just put a service in the middle of it. So we talk about a Bitcoin service that we use because it's really our aim is definitely adoption and helping people with the adoption of Bitcoin. And so it's really great. We use huge amounts of services being in El Salvador because we have the ability to easily use those systems and services. We live on a Bitcoin standard. We get paid in Bitcoin. And so we have the ability to just try so many different things to help us stay on that Bitcoin standard, which is great.
I did notice that a lot of your content is around education, Bitcoin education, tech education.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a tinkerer, so I love to download these apps. I love to install them and have a play. And then what I've discovered is I love to promote the thing that I think can help people the most. And at the moment, one of the for example, here in El Salvador, the Blink wallet is we've been very lucky in that we've been able to meet the development team and everything because they come here for conference, and I've been able to talk to them specifically and share the things that do and don't work, being here on the ground, trying to use it every single day with merchants or paying my bills and things like that. And they've been incredibly receptive. So when I have a great experience with something like that, I love to share it. And other wallets have other great purposes as well. But for what we're doing here, we definitely like to share the tools that are working. And I think one of the most interesting things about it has been with the YouTube videos. There's been a couple of times where we're like, oh, should we keep doing this, Nicki? Like, it's been a year now and I don't feel like we're getting heaps of traction, not a lot of growth. But then at conference, we had a most amazing and humbling experience. We had several people come up to us who are avid followers. They don't comment, but they watch the show and they were like, we love your show. It's so cool. Thank you. It's inspired me to come. And we've had this month, 2 people come to us and give us reasonable donations. Like someone came and donated a laptop to the project that we're doing here with the circular economy. And then we had another gentleman who came and was like, I want to come and bring my business to El Salvador. How can I make it work with the circular economy project you guys are doing? And we were just like, holy cow. And he's like, it was because of your YouTube channel. And we were like, wow, the value return, I guess is what I'm looking for, really hit us. And it was like, wow, we put in all this work for a year and we're getting paid now through these people coming to us and wanting to work with us.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, I think YouTube has a lot of power in that sense because it's so personal. And you guys overcame the hard part, getting to, 1K subs, get it monetized, that kind of thing. So from here, it's just you could easily spike up to 10x, 30K subs with just a couple of good videos type of thing,
Yeah.
We're not very good at we I suppose James is very much the techie person. When we come to putting the videos together, we're not. Well, I sort of fell that back on me to do. It's not really my skill set. We have quite a few videos in the pipeline that it's just a time thing.
Yeah, it's
putting together.
It's amazing how much time and effort it takes up. So our income comes from doing remote work, and it comes from mainly web work online from clients overseas. And the social media and the circular economy stuff the Bitcoin stuff that we're involved in is all a hobby on the side. So what we discovered was YouTube is a full-time job, and it becomes an expensive job when you need to start outsourcing video production, or it's
Mm-hmm.
expensive on yourself in terms of time and what you need to invest to actually
Mm.
post, edit a lot of your content. And to get it to a level that people expect, a lot of people have quite a high expectation of the quality content now. But we did get some interesting feedback yesterday, actually.
Mm.
One of our viewers, he's from France, and he lives all over the world. And he was like, I was inspired by what you guys are doing. And he said that your content is unique. It's not like other people, like a lot of other people, it is overproduced. And he said, I really liked that it's just, sorry. He said, I really liked that it's just the two of you sitting in front of the camera. You feel very natural, and you're just speaking from your heart and where you are in the world and explaining what's going on. Oh, sorry about that. And it was really cool to hear that and get that feedback,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes, yeah, we feel it's a bit rough and ready,
Yeah.
but to hear that they actually felt it was like a unique perspective on giving content was really cool.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you by Language Blend, the new best way to learn Spanish. Language Blend focuses on what you actually need to live and get by abroad with daily one-on-one lessons, a dedicated texting partner. It's like living in a Spanish-speaking country without ever leaving home. Go to languageblend.com for more information. Yeah, that's awesome. So what do you do for remote work? What do you do to make money?
So basically, I've always been into internet-based computer stuff, to oversimplify it, I guess. And at the moment, I do remote support for e-commerce websites. So I work for companies that generally have a WooCommerce or Shopify store. And due to my background, which was growing up in a small to medium-sized family business, a lot of it was I've got quite a vertical stack, which means I understand things from like printer and email support up to setting up servers and code and stuff like that, opposed to being a horizontal skill base where you might just become an expert in coding, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or become an expert in just printer support. So because I've got that vertical skill set, it makes me an interesting person for some companies, because I can get 80 to 90% of things solved for companies that have got a web business. I understand how the applications often talk to each other, and I can then recommend an expert who can come in and just focus on the one point that really needs help. So I'm an interesting skill set for certain businesses, and I basically just do remote support. This morning I was helping. I'm learning a brand new tool set for me, and then I'm going in and training the new staff, and I'm listening to what they need, and I help. I help customize. I help customize the software to improve their workflow. But I mean, there's other stuff as well where I'll go in and do basic design on the website when they need an update, and it can be faster and easier for me because I understand things like that.
Makes sense. Do you think the time zone actually helped your business if you're working with
Yep,
US clients?
for sure. Yeah, definitely. So in New Zealand, it was either early morning or late evening, and now. Actually, I think it was just in the morning in New Zealand was basically the only time I could work in the US without really disrupting my day. But now I'm much more accessible to them, which is, yeah, it definitely helped.
Okay, awesome. Let's get into some just like day-to-day life stuff about El Salvador, because I think people really want to hear this. This is actually, we've done, for context, well over 100 episodes, about 130, and I don't even think we've had an El Salvador guest yet. I'm trying to think. People have been asking and asking for it. So
Wow.
people really want to know the real deal, what it's like on the ground. And I'm glad we have you guys, because what I like about you guys is you guys are pretty chill. I think people got that so far. You're not on the soapbox. You don't overly have an agenda. We know you like Bitcoin though,
Yeah,
obviously,
that's the
but
biggest one.
you guys are kind of like, you'll give it to us straight, I think.
Yeah.
So so tell us just, I mean, tell us a little bit about like day-to-day life in El Salvador.
our life has changed quite dramatically in the last 2.5 months, to be honest. So when we were down at the beach, we were living in a gated community. It felt like the Truman Show, kind of. That's how it felt like. To be honest, it's a lot of expats, not many sort of Salvadorians were living in the gated community. We had a beach club. It was like a beach club. You know, we had the beach there. We had all the pools. We had tennis courts, etc. So we didn't have to speak much Spanish, and we were able to walk around the community, feel very safe. There was no go to the beach. You know, it was easy but very, very hot.
You were in a private community.
Private community, yep.
Yeah.
So
Got it. Like a gated community.
gated community, yes.
400 odd homes.
Yeah. In it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so we moved up to Berlin. Berlin, there's no gated communities. We're living about 5 minutes out of town. We're in quite a rural area, sort of feels like a goat track, our road. It's very rough and ready, hard to get the car up.
It must be Stone Road.
Yes, stone road.
Yep. Dirt. It's not even stone. The beginning has stone, like boulders in terms of building it. It's not even cobble. It's not a beautiful cobble street. It's literally a boulder street. And then it turns into literally a rutted out dirt road.
Yeah. Well, our neighbours are Salvadorian. They're gorgeous. And we can get a tuk-tuk at the bottom of the road up into the town. And we have to speak Spanish. We have to communicate with the local community. It's quite different now to what we were.
Big contrast.
Yeah, big contrast to what we were living in before.
Seriously, that's night and day.
Yeah.
And how did you come across Berlin again? I didn't ask, like, did someone invite you there, or like, how did that triangulate?
We met, we were at one of the My First Bitcoin evenings, and we met, I think James was actually having a bit of a mare in regards to, we had just tried to pay for our renewal of our visa, extension visa, and we weren't able to pay with Bitcoin.
We paid in Bitcoin, but it was just such a horrible experience. And for me, I'm like, what is going on? Like, this should be the ultimate experience. I'm in El Salvador using a government service, and they've got the government program to do this, and it's like, yeah.
And so he was ever rant with John for My First Bitcoin, and John said, you need to go and meet this couple.
Well, the teachers. Go and talk to the teachers, and see how things have changed their life, and take yourself away from your personal drama, and see how things have improved for these Salvadorans. And so we sat down and we had a great chat, and we built a relationship with this couple, Evelyn and Gerardo, who had been with the My First Bitcoin team for a while, and they trained up to become teachers, and they were traveling around the country to go and train children at schools. And then one day we were at one of the meetups and we saw them there, and they said, hey, we've got a graduation coming up with 90 students. We'd love for you guys to come and visit. And we're like, oh, great. We'd love to come to one of your presentations, graduations. And so a couple of months later, we came up. It was in Berlin, and I'm like, wow, that's a long way, Nicki. Like, do we really want to do it? And we're like, no, we promised them. So, because it was a 3-hour drive for us. But the thing is My First Bitcoin organized a minibus to go, which made it easy. So we jumped in the minibus, chat to all these people. It was a great time. Really, we arrived, we went into the town square, and then that was quite quaint. The drive up was beautiful because you go through forest, and then we had the graduation, and we were like, wow, this is really cool. Like, it's a good sized school up here. Like, this is quite impressive. And we saw Evelyn and Gerardo, and we said, wow, this is really cool. And they go, yeah, do you know what? We've also onboarded 20 businesses. And we were like, what? In 10 weeks? And they're like, yeah, 10 weeks. We've got 20 businesses on board. We're going to move here. And we're like, seriously? And one of Evelyn's things was that when she first came here, she said to her partner, Gerardo, hey, I love it here. I want to move here. This is what I've been looking for in El Salvador. And so they then took us to lunch to a place which accepted Bitcoin. We were really impressed with it, and it basically went from there.
Yeah. And so we got home and we were thinking, what do we do? We were struggling down at the beach, and we thought, right, we need to go back up for a weekend. So we went back up organised a weekend to come back up to just check it out to see if it was where we really wanted to live. And one of the other people who had come to the graduation had already moved here. he saw it as well. He was going, well, this is amazing. So he moved here. He rang us up before we were due to come up and said, hey, do you want to look after my dog for 2 weeks? And I have to go to Mexico. And it was brilliant. And we said, perfect. It worked in for us.
timing.
We came up here for 2 weeks. As soon as we got here, we started looking for houses. We ended up, it took us a while to find a house. We had to go back home for a month, but we found one, moved back up.
Yeah.
And we have now, and I'm not sort of saying we as in James and myself, but the team here has grown. There's a great team of local businesses, local Salvadorians, as well as a few expats, have actually now got over 100 businesses accepting Bitcoin up here in Berlin. So we do not have to spend fiat money. We can actually live on Bitcoin here, which is incredible.
And I know for some of your listeners, you might be thinking we're a little bit crazy, but the reason that it's important for us is down at the beach. I mean, one of the reasons we came to El Salvador was to be involved in the legal tender side of Bitcoin, and then it wasn't that widely accepted, or people weren't interested down at the beach. And when we came up here, that completely changed. Like, we can get a haircut, we got our keys cut, we buy shoes, we buy trousers. These are things we couldn't do, and it was difficult to do in San Salvador to have that experience. And because we earn in Bitcoin, having to convert it to dollars was a pain. And here, that conversion friction is removed, and we're having a great time doing it. It's fun. We build better relationships with the businesses because they want us to come along. So we go and use businesses that we know want to do business with us, and we build a relationship with them. And it's really fun doing that for us, because we're really enjoying the language, immersion a lot more now with those relationships with businesses.
Interesting. I'm trying to draw a connection here. The people that had to go to Mexico, are they from Mi Primer Bitcoin, My First Bitcoin?
No. So he was. He's from United States, and he moved to El Salvador because of Bitcoin, and he wanted to check it out and live out there. He did spend 6 months in Mexico before that and met his partner.
The reason I ask is because I'm not sure if you knew this, but My First Bitcoin expanded to Mexico, and they got it into a university course in San Miguel de Allende and made it a mandatory university course at this university in Mexico. And here on the podcast, we've actually interviewed a number of the people involved in things on the Mexico side with Mi Primer Bitcoin. Andrew Howard, not sure if you heard of him. So a couple people there. Bitcoin Hubs is a Mexico-based organization as well. Interviewed the guy there. So I was just it would be kind of cool if like you guys were like knowing everybody on the El Salvador side, and then like they kind of, you know what I mean?
We have a good we do have a good relationship with the My First Bitcoin team here. We like John, the founder. He came and stayed with us right before he did the graduation, just down the road here, which was awesome. We used to live with one of the main management team who he's really driving it. He's really focused, and there's a couple of other guys that I'd say we're good friends with. So it is quite a tight community, the Bitcoin community. We've been able to build a lot of really good relationships. We've been able to build a lot of really good relationships with key people here, which has been amazing. That's really helped. And then we are now being here in Berlin, we're expanding our Salvadoran relationships as well, which is really cool, because we don't want to just be in an expat community. We really do want to have more connection with the local people.
The integration is really important.
Hey guys, quick interruption to tell you about Bitrefill. Bitrefill is the best way to convert your crypto into gift card balances. These are gift cards that you can spend at hotels.com, Airbnb, Nike, and many more. You may remember Joel Valenzuela, previous podcast guest. He's been living on crypto exclusively since 2015, and he's a big consumer of Bitrefill. And so I asked Joel, I said, what do you like most about Bitrefill? He said that he likes the instant delivery, the precise amount so that you don't have to juggle a lot of gift cards, and he loves the global selection. Nobody else has this much selection of gift cards, over 10,000 gift card options across hundreds of countries. Go to bitrefill.com to sign up, and you can also use the code MyLatinLife for 10% back off your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. Okay, awesome. Yeah, tell us more about just like life in El Salvador. So where you are, you probably have tons of birds every day, spiders, tons of nature.
It's pretty. Sorry.
Sorry, no.
Do you edit out some of these pieces? I know there's probably pieces I've gone and ruined it now. You don't. So what happens is, yes, we had a rule, which was we're not allowed any domestic pets. So it makes it easy for us to keep moving. So we definitely appreciate the iguanas and the squirrels, and enjoy the stray dogs that can stay stray dogs. We're not collecting any animals off the street. So yeah, the birds and the wildlife has definitely been a big thing for us, because we enjoyed it in New Zealand as well. But here, seeing like miniature dinosaurs running around, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we did down at the beach. We did come encounter with a couple of snakes and a lot of scorpions.
Yeah,
but because of course New Zealand, we come from a country that has none of that. It's the most incredibly wildlife safe country I know, and so yeah. But up here we don't seem to. I think maybe it's not so hot. We don't have the scorpions up here. We haven't seen any snakes, but I know that there will be some around.
My first scorpion experience was putting a pair of shorts on and getting stung as one fell out. It was quite interesting. And so now it's a regular thing to shake out the clothes.
Yeah.
But one evening, we checked the pillows before we go to bed each night. One morning we woke up and a scorpion had moved in underneath the pillow while we were sleeping. So it was
that was pretty freaky,
pretty intense. But yeah.
So, but the bird life, I think maybe there was more. Well, it's definitely more squirrel life down at the beach, just because of the coconuts and the almonds that the squirrels love. Up higher up, we're 1,000 meters up, so we are a lot higher, and so we don't have the coconuts growing up here
as much.
Yeah, you don't see them really. Yeah, but it's awesome. The winter. So we came towards the end of the rainy season. So we would wake up and we're in the clouds, which is incredible. It would always sort of burn off, and then you'd have the thunder and the lightning and the downpours at night. Yeah. Then now that we're in the dry season, it's beautiful. Even though the temperature, we don't even notice. We have a light blanket on when we sleep at night, but it's beautiful blue skies. It's clean air. The temperature's still good. We're still in singlets and shorts, but we're not sweating like we were down at the beach. So, which is great. Average day, we spend a lot of time working, of course, at home, but when we do go into town, we walk down, we grab a tuk-tuk, it's 50 cents to get into town, and we will go up to the Bitcoin Centre and do work at the Bitcoin Centre, or we'll go to the Mercados. There's an organic Mercado here every second Thursday, so we go there and get what fruit and veggies we can that they're selling. But there is also the normal local Mercado. We can go and get our fruit and veggies from there. There's a great team. We quite often meet up a couple of times, if not more, for a meal at night, which is awesome. Yeah.
And then we're trying to keep our trips down to the bigger city at a minimum. So it's about an hour drive to one of the bigger cities. And
to San Miguel.
Yeah, San Miguel was the one we've been going to. There's like a Costco or a Price Mart, as it's called here, down there. And we normally just buy a few bulk items, but we use beef back better for buying our beef. He's actually an Australian guy who's moved here, and he's gone out of his way to actually source grass-fed beef and having it killed in a more humane way, because some of the ways that I think they use here are a bit less developed. And he's learning that the cut styles in Latin America are quite different to the cut styles in other parts of the world. So the butchering process he's learning, but we get a good clean beef from him, which is great. We try to eat as much fresh fruit and vegetables as we can here, and then we just buy a few basics from the main store.
And the great thing with Owen and the Beef Back Better is the fact that we now get tallow, and so
yes.
we get a lot of tallow, excess tallow from him. And I've actually started making soap with the tallow. And so we now go to the Bitcoin Farmers Market, which is in Alzonte, every second Sunday. We do the 3-hour drive,
Yep.
and there's a Bitcoin Farmers Market down there that we sell the soap. It's a great community event. There's a lot of vendors there who are selling their wares. Coffee. There's coffee. There's I don't know. There's butter. There's
pork, fruit and vegetables.
Yeah.
There's people who are making things like bags or jewelry for your animals, cushions for your animals.
Yeah.
That's being done by a group of ladies that are helping Salvadoran ladies create
an income stream.
Yeah, an income stream, and then they're helping a lot of the stray animals that are around. But yeah, there's people selling. We get the odd organic vegetable person who comes down.
Coffee.
Coffee, making bone broth. Cool stuff like that.
So it's a lot of people who are now, you're able to go there and maybe source things that you wouldn't have been able to source before, and you pay with Bitcoin, which is great. And it's become like a Bitcoin meetup without the formal structure of a Bitcoin meetup, which is great. Yeah. So we do that every second Sunday. We drive down and drive back home. So it's a 6-hour drive total, and we sell the Bitcoin soaps, which is awesome.
Okay, you're like participating in the market.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
do you guys have a car?
Yes. Moving to the beach. So if you live in San Salvador, the main city center, the Uber system is fantastic and it's cheap.
They have Uber.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
It's very cheap, very convenient, very effective. When we moved to the beach, it was very sparse. Finding the bus system, initially we were basically told don't use it, it's dangerous. But now we know a lot of people are actually using it. But things have changed a lot in the last 20 months as well in regards to that. But there's also a taxi service, but it was very hard to get hold of them based on where we lived and our limited Spanish. So we did buy a car. We learned that it's a lot more expensive to buy a car here, but running it's cheaper than it was in New Zealand. So that's a bonus. But it's been something that we needed living at the beach, and now we're up here in Berlin. It's also a super convenient tool because if you don't have that private transport, you either have to hire a vehicle or use the public transport, which is just long.
And I think one thing to mention too is when we moved to El Salvador, Bukele had not put in the military regime. So we arrived before there was the mass killings. There was the weekend in the end of March 2022 that over 80 people were killed or murdered. And it was from that point that Bukele put in the regime. So we had been here for six weeks without that. So we've seen a huge change in what has happened and how El Salvador is during this time. And I think one of the things is when we first arrived, we had no point of contact. We didn't really know anyone to talk to. And so we had come in with this bombardment of family saying, hey, it's dangerous. It's the most dangerous country in the world and you have to be careful, et cetera, et cetera. So, and we were told, don't take the buses, don't take the taxis, you'll be robbed or whatever. So it took us a while, to realize actually it's safe now. It's fine to take those, use those services.
And
the buses and stuff.
So we've seen apparently the tourists were never really at risk here in El Salvador. Apparently they were meant to be a don't touch situation, especially along the beach. I don't know what it was like around the rest of the country, but we've seen a dramatic shift in a lot of things, the way people run their businesses and culture, and even a lot of foreigners who come and they're like, I bust around. I've been bussing around El Salvador without any problems. And for us, it's just like, whoa, because we've had a car, so we've had that safety bubble, which has been super convenient for us.
Yeah, keep speaking to that more because you guys are, as you said, you've seen the whole transformation underway. So
Yeah.
there's not too many gringos or foreigners that have seen the whole transformation. A lot of people came in maybe this year. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So when we first arrived, we were based up in San Salvador. We'd got this Airbnb. We'd booked it for a month, thinking it was, we saw the pictures, we talked to the people, it seemed really fine. Once we got we got there, they picked us up from the airport, which was wonderful. It was in the middle of town, and it was, of course, we're not used to having the grilled bars over the doors and
Razor
things, the
wire.
razor wire, and we sort of went down this alley of razor wire and grilled bars, and we were going, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and we turned up this place. It was meant to be shared facilities. There was one other person supposedly in this accommodation. There ended up being 5 other people. They were all students. There was no water, there was no kitchen really. We were like, okay, this is not what we were experiencing. So we felt very uncomfortable.
So we'd met a Salvadoran in New Zealand who had put us in touch with these people. So we thought that maybe we would have a cultural bridge there, which might help us merge into it. But it was a bigger shock than we expected, and we'd decided within the first sort of
2
day or
days.
two that we needed out. And we were in a reasonably good part of town. It's just the people that we were moved in with. We weren't told the full story. So they lived next door. They had their own house, but they then basically they were doing okay, right? Like they'd bought a house next door and they were fitting it out to be apartments for students. And so we didn't realize we were living with students who are doing student things. And it just made us realize we need to shift pretty quickly.
But just leaving that, the next day, when we got up, we thought we need to get food, we need to get water. So they told us where the supermarket was. So we had to walk up this hill, and seriously, every single store had a guy with a shotgun or dogs, and so everything was shut, everything was razor wired. So if you wanted to access any of the shops, you actually had to go through the guard with the shotgun and go into the gate. There's a very little signage for any stores because, of course, if they were promoting their business, then your gang members would know that they had a business and what kind of business it was. And so there was no promotion outside their shops at all. And we'd sort of walk up and got to the supermarket. I don't know how many armed guards there were at the supermarket.
Like 3.
Yeah, but within a week, James was high-fiving them, talking to them. But we were walking and looking behind us all the time because we just and it was lack of knowledge, lack of experience.
Yeah, we had no idea what to expect. You had people telling you it's and when we arrived, like Nicki said, the regime to cut out all of the corruption that was happening and the gang violence that was happening, that wasn't in place. So there was a real fear or a real possibility that we might be exposed to something we had no idea how to deal with. But after that regime, things have changed drastically.
Yeah, I think the people, there's not nearly as many guards with the guns. The people we noticed, especially down at the beach, we'd go to La Libertad del Puerto to buy our fruit and veggies once a week, and the people have become a lot more relaxed. They're not. They used to feel, you used to look at them and watch them, and they looked very sort of
Tense,
emotionally heavy,
watching their back and stuff.
Yes,
So everyone must just a weight off everyone's shoulders. All the locals.
You see a lot more children playing in the outside, and that sort of thing. There's a lot more of that feel of freedom. They used to be locked up in their homes, whereas now their homes are a lot more open. There's a lot more businesses are taking pride in their business and painting the outsides of it and putting signs up and making their businesses look appealing for people to come in and go and see and pop in, whereas in the past they had it all locked up. I remember looking for some hair care product that I wanted to use, and we drove into the town, and it was a big black gate. There was no sign, there was nothing, and you had to ring a bell, and they would come and open a little window, and sort of wanted to know what I wanted. And then I was allowed in, and then inside was incredible. It was an amazing hairdressing salon. But on the outside, it was just this big black gate. You had no idea what was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it took a little while for the locals to adjust to this new way of life and to it's like, I don't even know, like coming out of hibernation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was decades.
Yeah, but what's wonderful is you're actually noticing, people are building new homes, and they're still putting their big fences up, but they're not putting the razor wire up, which is great. It's awesome to see less razor wire around the place.
Definitely. One thing I definitely want to mention, squeak it in here, is one of the sponsors of this podcast is Bitrefill. And
Yes.
you guys know Bitrefill well. You use it all the
Yes.
time. You talk about it on your Twitter account. Tell me
Yes.
about Bitrefill and how you guys use it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's convenient. I didn't realize that. So in New Zealand, I was having funds wired to me, and the New Zealand government loves to take the first 30% that comes in, even though I'm bringing new revenue into the country. And then what happened was when we came here, I needed a new way to have the funds sent to me, and Bitrefill.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Nikki's just pointed out, not Bitrefill. So there's two. Both. It's all these words with like Bitcoin or Bit that start together. Bitrefill. Okay,
Bitrefill,
sorry.
spending crypto.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
No.
I had the wrong company in my head. We also use Bitrefill regularly, so we use it to pay for our phone bill, our internet, like our mobile phone bill, our internet bill, our power bill, our water bill, and top up our Uber credit. And they give us a great way to actually use our sats to top up these services. So
Yeah,
we've got our water bill.
we promote Bitrefill, and we use Bitrefill all the time, because what it is it's giving people the ability to use their Bitcoin, especially if people are now starting to accept Bitcoin and they're going, well, what are we going to do with this? We've got bills to pay, and so it's a great service. You can pay your bills, and you can buy gift cards, and you can Uber.
Actually, I want to push back on the gift card. You can buy gift cards, but that's not how we use it.
No, we don't use it that
the
way.
gift card service, in my mind, is a pain in the bum. But seriously, the Bitcoin is a lot of Bitcoin businesses out there that use the gift card system, and the pain with gift cards, you often end up with a little bit of credit left on them. And Bitrefill, we pay the exact amount. It's done. It's really good. And one of the things, for example, down at the beach in the beginning, our power company actually stopped allowing Bitrefill to connect with them. We had to find an ATM to take cash out, which was costing us $4.50 in ATM fees. Then we had to go to the supermarket, and we had to wait in line, and that was also quite an effort. And then we had to wait for them to manually process it, all cash register. They have to write it all down in special books. And the whole ordeal would take us hours to just pay our power bill. Now it's like, the power bill's in, within minutes, we're done, we're out. And I mean, I don't mean to be sounding like I'm working for this company, but in terms of I'm being honest.
No, let's hype them up. Let's hype them up so they keep the sponsorship going.
Like, honestly, the convenience factor that Bitrefill has given us is huge.
It's great. It's really good.
I mean, it removes my need to go and stand in line at places to either get cash out and or to pay the bill.
Yeah. And I think one of the amazing things up here in Berlin is, of course, we've got all these stores that are now accepting Bitcoin, but some of them, to get them to accept Bitcoin, a couple of the guys were going, well, we will come and we will buy your Bitcoin back off you and give you the cash. What's happened is they've now got these stores of Bitcoin, and they're going, what can I do with it? And so we're going, look, you can pay your phone bill with this. You can pay your electricity bill with this. So we're now teaching them how to use Bitrefill to spend their Bitcoin and pay their bills. And they're just amazed. They're just finding it so easy that they can now, so that they're not having to cash out. They're able to use it for their day-to-day life, which is awesome.
So the convenience, because like Nicki was saying, a lot of these people want to off-ramp or get out of the Bitcoin position. But what they're finding at the moment is their life convenience is improving because they use Bitrefill to sell the Bitcoin they thought they didn't want and get their bills paid faster and more convenient.
Yeah.
And
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Quick break from the podcast to tell you about Language Blend, the best new way to learn Spanish. Language Blend was co-founded by Jake Nomada, friend of the podcast, decade of experience in Latin America. And Jake and his team, they put everything into this program that they wish they had in terms of how to level up quickly with your Spanish language skills. Because the faster that you can get conversationally fluent in Spanish, the better the experience that you're going to have in Latin America. So go to languageblend.com for more information.
yeah,
That's awesome.
It's cool. How do you pay the electric bill and the utilities with Bitrefill?
So it's, I mean, I don't know if you're
We've
curious
got a great video on it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's I mean, they're connecting to an API. So Bitrefill offers an API payment system, and what we do is we log in and we put in our utility number, and when the utility number it goes in, it pops up the bill and says, "Hey, you owe $15 for electricity this month," and we say, "Sweet, we'd like to pay with Bitcoin." They give us a QR code. We zap the QR code with our wallet. Done.
Sweet. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, because in a lot of situations, Bitrefill is using like a gift card as a intermediary, right? But it sounds like with the utilities in El Salvador, it's direct.
Yeah.
Direct API integration, which means we pay the exact amount. There's no bumming around with gift cards. I love it.
Yeah, and we can also top up the Uber, because when we were up at conference in San Salvador, we were using the Uber quite a bit, and we could top up our Uber account with Bitrefill as well.
No credit card needed.
Yeah.
It's been great reducing the credit card usage.
Yeah, and we
awesome.
enjoy it.
Random question: have you met Max and Stacy Kaiser?
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
A couple of times.
Yeah, bumped into them a few times. So we went to the events that they were holding down at Bitcoin Beach. So we met them there, and then we also saw them at the conference last year.
And then at the Association of Bitcoin.
They're
involved in that as well.
Yeah,
So
at the Association of Bitcoin was the first time we really sort of had a chance to talk to them with less fanfare around them, which was good. And I was actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because Max actually said something recently, which I was like, I should quote Max on that. And Max made a really good statement that Salvadorans used to say their houses were too small, and now they're saying our houses are too big. And he's like, what do they mean by that? And because I was like, that's really interesting. Why is he saying that? And it was to do with the gangs and everything. So in the beginning, they were trapped in their houses effectively. So they had their whole family living in the house, and it felt too small.
Yeah.
And they built their houses around that concept. And now, because people are able to spend time outside, the house is empty. And so now the house feels big. And I thought that was quite an interesting insight that Max shared, to share the change in people's lives here.
That's cool. Yeah, that's why houses are so big in Canada and the USA, because people spend their whole life in their house.
Hibernating.
for different reasons, but they still do it. Cool. I'll give another shout out to a Twitter account called Salvador Pride, who you guys must know. And they always retweet me and like they DM me and say, hey, can you tweet about this XYZ city in El Salvador? And I'm like, all right. And then I'll make like a tweet about it and be like, perfect climate, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll retweet it and they'll go wild, because like you said, the Salvadorians love like supporting stuff. Yeah. And I'm sure you've probably benefited from that too.
Yes. So it's funny you mentioned that, because in the early days, they retweeted a couple of things where I was like talking about El Salvador on the beach, or talking about pupusas, and those couple, I had a tweet by them that went mental in terms of virality, and got something like 70,000 views. I was just like, what? But yeah, that's an effective account, that one.
Yeah, those are some of my favorites. You guys, of course. I'm sure you guys have met other people. I saw there's the dude Quentin. He's like a French dude. He's been to Berlin.
No, they live here.
They live here. They actually live in Berlin
now.
Really? Yeah, so they were down in La Playa, and they were working with My First Bitcoin team down in La Playa. So they spent 6 months down on the Bitcoin island. him and his partner Sam. They finished their 6 months and have moved up to Berlin, which is awesome. They're a great couple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, mention it to him if you see him. But yeah,
We will.
we're gonna get him on the podcast at some point
Awesome.
as well.
Yeah.
No, he's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quentin and Sam are great.
Yeah.
They're doing good things for my first Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They're really helping the global expansion. Actually, when you mentioned about Mexico, he's quite heavily involved in that, and we're excited to see where they take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And the big conference was recently, right? Like a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago now. So we went and stayed in San Salvador for that. Great event. Like, it's amazing. I'm blown away by how many Bitcoiners don't come to this event. In my mind, it's one of the pure signal Bitcoin events, and I'm kind of let down. I feel a little bit disappointed inside. But
Your expectations.
Yeah, my expectations on it. But it's a great event in terms of networking and the quality of people that go and talk about what's happening in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Recommended
And
visit.
what's that conference called again?
Adopting Bitcoin.
Adopting Bitcoin. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
So
just
it's-
about all we have time for today. Quick note: don't exit your browser as soon as we say bye because it needs a second for the audio to upload. But with that being said, take this time, Nicki and James, to direct the audience's attention again to your YouTube channel and wherever else that you want to show them.
Okay, thank you. So our handles are NJ El Salvador. So you can go to x.com or twitter.com/NJ El Salvador. Same with Twitter. Same with YouTube. The only trouble with YouTube is it auto corrects our name. So you probably need to search for Nicki and James El Salvador to find us on there. I would love for people to follow us on YouTube every week. Like, we have the live show. People can literally come along and ask us a live question. We answer them at the end. So if anyone has a question about our life here or Bitcoin, we will answer it live on that show. We appreciate everybody coming and liking that and subscribing.
Yes. Yeah, and we put out a newsletter every Tuesday morning as well.
Yes.
Which has a lot to do. Pretty much 3 items that are relative to Bitcoin, really, and El Salvador here. And then we also list now all the different events that are happening in El Salvador, like all the Bitcoin events that are coming up.
We list a large number of the popular Bitcoin meetups. So if you're coming and you want to meet people that are doing things here and talk to them, those Bitcoin events are some of the best ones to join and visit.
And I think one last thing is, if you are looking at coming to El Salvador, do put some time out to come up to Berlin. We've got a Bitcoin Center up here now, a great team, and it's well worth your visit.
Yeah. And let us know you're up here, and we'll meet you at one of the restaurants, cafes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do a trip myself for sure. Cool. So this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, my guests today, Nicki and James El Salvador. Thank you to Nicki and James, and thank you to the audience for listening.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.